Yo, Brian, I am so excited for Steins Lines. You killed it last week. You did awesome.
I can't wait to see what this weekend brings. Did you hear Temple men's soccer beat Ultimate?
That was so awesome.
Do you guys want me on the show? I heard Temple beat ECU last night.
Listen, Brian.
It's a tight ship here, dude. I don't know if we can squeeze you in there.
Yeah, you're a good guy, but it's a two-man show. You gotta understand that. Nobody else can
I'll make you guys a run.
Hey, Carl.
Hey, what's up?
Did you hear Temple beat ECU last night?
Yeah.
I definitely heard that. Wait, that's a snazzy suit,
You
man.
were good, man.
Can we be on the show this week?
Yeah, how about that?
Sure, I just said that.
Let's do it.
Yeah, but first, let's take a timeout.
What's up? What's up? We are back with another episode of Temple Timeout. I am Brian Steinmetz. Here with me is Adam Miller. And Adam, how was your week, man?
Let me tell you, Brian, I had me a doozy of a week between this show, between Temple Update, and all the other college shenanigans. It's been a rough week. What about you?
Yeah, absolutely. I had myself quite the week as well, but I'm glad that it's finally starting to cool down outside.
You know, now that you mentioned cooling down, that's one thing that Temple football isn't doing.
Yeah.
They're heating up with wins over Georgia Tech and most recently ECU.
Right off the bat, things didn't look good for the Owls. Holton Ahlers finds B.J. Johnson for the first score of the game, but Temple will answer after a Will Mobley field goal. Jagger Gardner finds the end zone to give Temple their first lead.
And they wouldn't look back there, Brian. All day, Ray punches in this touchdown, and then here he comes, Isaiah Wright. He's going to add another touchdown for good measure. Man, he is a human highlight reel. But then the lights go out. During the fourth quarter of the game, ECU leaned into their blackout theme with an actual blackout in their stadium. Yikes.
Yeah, when the lights came back on, however, ECU added a garbage time touchdown, but it really doesn't matter. Temple wins this one 27-17. And it seems like every week Davis is getting better, and that's why he's our outstanding Owl from the game. Listen to the stat line, 24 carries for 157 yards and 1 touchdown. It's no secret that if Temple wants to keep racking up wins, they need to lean on the California kid.
Here to dive deeper behind the lines of Temple football, Temple Updates. Carl Tienabeso is on desk to discuss Rod Carey squad.
It's good to have you here, Carl.
Guys, thank you for finally having me on Temple Timeout. I'm excited. So Temple football has been doing pretty well lately, and they did win against ECU last night. And Anthony Russo is off to a hot start against Bucknell and Maryland. But he sort of cooled off once they went to Buffalo, and he had three interceptions in that game, although he had 3 touchdowns. But when he came back to Georgia Tech, they did win. But he only had 9 completions. He has been, I don't know, a little iffy these past couple games, but they did win against ECU last night with over 200 yards. So I think it's just an early season rough patch.
So I know we saw Todd Centeno get some reps last night, a couple drives. What do you think that was all about?
I think that was just to give the ECU a different look. Todd Centeno is a dual threat quarterback, so just him running up and down the middle, and then Anthony Russo dropping back, throwing it over top, just to give ECU a different look. So, and that's how they got the W yesterday.
And Carl, obviously you've been around the team more than anybody, and it's a new team, new coach. What do you get the vibe with Rod Carey at the helm?
Well, with the people we've interviewed at practice these past Tuesday, obviously Anthony Russo, even Chappelle Russell, and even Sean Bradley, they're starting to grow, and they're growing towards liking Rod Carey. They like the offense that he's implemented, and then it's been showing these past couple games. 4-1, it's been pretty well.
Now, Temple has fared pretty well in conference play last season under Jeff Collins. How do you think they'll do this season in conference play? We saw them win against ECU last night. How do you think they'll go the rest of the way? Perhaps a UCF upset.
I think they could win. There's only really been like 3 teams that stood in our way in winning an AAC championship. USF, Houston's put up a lot of points when we've played them also, and UCF stands the biggest chance. In order to go through them, we have to have a big defensive outing. They've averaged over 40 points the last 2 outings we've had against them. So in order to beat them, they're going to be the ones standing in our way to win an AAC championship.
Now, Carl, I have to ask it. You know, with all these wins racking up, only one loss, is this team destined for an AAC championship?
Like we said earlier, they could win it. I believe they could win it, but trying to win, place in a respectable bowl game will probably be the best bet for them. But UCF, they could beat them, but it'll have to be a big defensive outing.
Right. Well, all right, Carl. Thank you for coming on the show. As always, it's great to have you on.
Thank you again for having me.
All right, well, let's take a step back now and revisit that Georgia Tech game. And we won't bore you with the details. We know the Owls won 24-2, but let's take a deeper look at you, the fans. Temple Update's Brian Matheis found out what some Owls fans thought about Jeff Collins' return to South Philly.
Former Temple head coach Jeff Collins returned to the Link to a 24-2 defeat as Georgia Tech head coach. Even after an abrupt exit before a bowl game last season, Temple players understood his decision.
You know, that was our family for 2 years, so it's a little different playing against them, but we had nothing but all the respect in the world for them.
Now, the players didn't have any hard feelings for former coach Jeff Collins, but the fans didn't have to be so civil, so they weren't. The Cherry Crusade showed up to the Link on Saturday with signs taking shots at the Yellow Jackets and Coach Collins.
You know, he was here and he seemed so energized to be with us for a while, and then just out of the blue he leaves and goes to Georgia Tech.
Like, he took our money downs, which is something that we came up with. It was original. One of our members from last year, he was on the e-board, he came up with it.
Being a Power 5 school, you have to expect something much bigger, and he's just, it's just hilarious watching them fail and having Temple actually having, a pretty good season,
While they didn't exactly offer any Southern comfort to the visiting team, fans don't really hate Collins. They were just trying to help the Owls bring home the W.
It's a business. It is what it is. People change jobs all the time. You see it all the time in sports.
I mean, I think a lot of the players look to us to kind of get hyped up when they see us in the stands, especially when we're painted up and we have these signs.
I don't think there's really any hate, though. Like, we were doing it just for fun. And
now that they got their revenge win, Temple fans wish the best of luck to Coach Collins and his career at Georgia Tech. Reporting for Temple Update, I'm Brian Matheis.
First Matt Rule, then Jeff Collins, then Manny Diaz. Oh, sorry, that was a bit quick. But now we have Rod Carey. Let's hope Temple fans won't have to endure a situation like this for a long time.
Yeah, and now we're going to switch over to men's soccer. Now check out this game. It was a game-winning goal against Old Dominion. Leonardos Lilas connects on his penalty kick, sealing the game and giving the Owls a 3-5 record so far on the year. Wow, Brian, pretty nice.
Yeah, there seems to be a bit of a pattern in their schedule, almost teeter-tottering back and forth with wins and losses. They lost their first 3 games of the season, and they didn't score their first goal until the 4th game. And after that, the wins and losses, they keep swaying back and forth.
Man, with that type of inconsistent play, it makes it pretty hard to bet on the team. Speaking of betting, though, it's time for everybody's favorite segment, Steins Lines. Brian, are you going to win me some money this week or what?
Well, I sure hope so, Adam, but let's dive right into it. So last week I won a solid $500. If you took my advice, you didn't win money, but hey, you didn't lose money. Here are my results from last week, an even split, and I would love to point out the Cincinnati-Marshall game, and I got that completely wrong. Cincinnati completely blew them out of the water. But let's head over to this current week now. We have Temple ECU. That already happened. Temple didn't cover.
You would have got that right.
They got the under. So UCF at Cincinnati now. I'm taking UCF -4 on the road against Cincinnati. And Cincinnati put up some big numbers last week against Marshall, like I just said. But I don't think they'll be able to contain UCF for very long in the game. And I'll take the over in that matchup, which is 60.5. Tulane -3 at Army. I'm going to go Tulane -3. People sleep on Tulane this season, but I think they're not doing terrible.
Not a bad team.
Over under at 43. I will take the under in that. I know Army doesn't like to score a lot of points. They run the ball a lot. Air Force -3.5 at Navy. Big rivalry game for those two squads. I'm taking Navy +3.5 at home. I think they'll take care of business. Over under at 45.5. And I'm going over in that matchup. And finally, Tulsa at number 24, SMU. SMU's -13. And let me tell you, folks, SMU is steamrolling this season. So I'm taking them -13, and I'm going over 62. And that's a whole lot of points.
Thanks, Stein. If you're an avid bettor, make sure you're taking as much advice as you can from this guy in Steins Lines. As for us, we're all out of timeout.
Yeah, be sure to follow us on all of our social media at @TU_sportsdesk and our mother station at Temple Update. For everyone here behind the camera at Temple Timeout, for Carl Tienabeso and Adam Miller, I'm Brian Steinmetz. We'll see you here same time, same place next week. Have a great weekend, everybody.